Good morning, everybody. Welcome to 31 Days of Monsters, the last day, day 31, 1951's The Thing from Another World. I decided not to play the trailer and play just the opening because that opening is just the best. I mean, right from the jaunty Winchester Pictures musical score right into Dmitri Tiomkin's The Thing, and then the burn through. It was so great that John Carpenter used the same thing, the whole burn through of the title. It doesn't get any better intro than that. And then we dissolve out and we see the frozen Alaska military bases as our intrepid reporter Scotty is about to walk in, and then our story begins. 1951, this movie was made. That was the year of the alien invasions. In fact, the first alien invasion movies came out almost simultaneously. The first one being The Man from Planet X, which preceded The Thing from Another World by about 2 months. That's it. And then following that one, a couple months later came the classic The Day the Earth Stood Still. So 1951 was a really great year for aliens. It was in all the newspapers, you know, UFOs and all that kind of stuff. So the time seemed right for this type of a movie. The Thing from Another World is based on John Campbell's novella, Who Goes There? It's a taut little book. If you've ever seen the John Carpenter version of The Thing, it's closer to that than this version, than the Howard Hawks version. But this is the better version, and we'll get into why I like this one better. By all accounts, I mean, it's credited, the directing is credited to Christian Nyby, who was Howard Hawks' longtime editor. But when the actors were interviewed, particularly Ken Tobey, the star of the film, he said that Nyby never directed him, that Hawks directed all his stuff. The guy who, James Arness, who plays the Thing, you know, talks about how Nyby did direct him. But from what it sounds like is that Nyby almost did what they used to call second unit directing, you know, the action sequences and stuff like that. This clearly has Hawks' fingerprints all over it. The snappy dialogue, the people talking at the same time, stuff you didn't see in a lot of films of that period. And the cast is great in this movie. We have, as I mentioned, Ken Tobey, who is just great in so many movies. Never became the star I think he should have been. Sort of always a character actor, but he had a few moments to shine in certain science fiction films like this, and Came from Beneath the Sea. Did a lot of westerns. Just always stalwart and great. Margaret Sheridan is Nikki, his sort of girlfriend in this film. She's really good. She didn't have much of a career, but she's really good in this. Robert Cornthwaite plays Dr. Carrington, another character actor that really should have been a bigger star. Was in a lot of movies, but never really hit it. Douglas Spencer, who we saw walking into the camp there at the very end of the credits. Just a great character actor. He was in Shane. He was in Twilight Zone episodes. Really, really good. Dewey Martin. He plays Bob, the smartest guy in the camp, the sergeant. he's awesome in this movie. And Corporal Barnes is played by let's see if he's in this picture. Oh shoot, I thought I had Barnes in this picture. Let me see if I got another shot. I don't think I do. Anyway, Corporal Barnes is played by William Self. Sort of a small-time actor at that point, but he eventually became the head of television production at 20th Century Fox and film and studio production as well. He was in charge of producing Batman in the 60s, among many other shows. But I always remember his name showing up in Batman, and then when I found out that was him in this movie, I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that was him. He's the guy who first encounters the thing when it melts from the ice, and he pulls out his .45 and starts blasting at it, and then goes into the rec room hysterically to tell, Captain Hendry and the rest of the crew that that the thing is alive. That's Dewey Martin right here. He's Bob. Bob always has an answer for everything. Let's see here. One of the things I love about this movie is it's so immersive that you really believe these guys are up there in the North Pole. In fact, a lot of the scenes, the interior stuff, they filmed in a meat locker, so you can see their breath. So it's very, very convincing. The sequences when that C-47 is landing in the snow, that's real. And those are the real actors, because you can tell Douglas Spencer is a really tall guy, and you can see his face. So they deplaned from that C-47 into the snow, and they filmed that up in the mountains in California. So there's an airport up there that they used and just doctored it up. So you really got the impression that that they were in the snow. This sequence here evidently was filmed in California, and it was like 100 degrees. So that's not real ice. If there's one thing about the movie that I have to nitpick on, and I mean, nothing is absolutely perfect, but this one is damn close, folks. It's the thing itself. This sort of Frankenstein-looking spaceman with, who wears clothes. They tried to make the creature more like John Campbell's book. Well, they wanted to. Let's say that they started doing some designs, but then they realized the technology and the expense of trying to do a shapeshifter like that was going to be beyond them. So this is what they settled on, and smartly. They keep them in the dark a lot. They keep them hidden in shadows. So they do the best they can with the thing. But it would have been nicer if it was a little bit more horrifying. This sequence is the first time in a movie that fire was the only light source. It was a really bold choice to make. We weren't quite sure how it was going to pan out, but it really works well. There's no Klieg lights or spotlights or anything else like that. The camera is completely exposed only by the fire in the room, and that was very unique, and it's very, very effective too. Here's an example of where the thing shows up, and they do a good job of keeping him backlit and stuff, so you don't really see him, although it's very clear he's wearing clothes. We see a little bit more of him here. This is where our liberal friend, Dr. Carrington, is trying to make peace with this guy, you know, and sometimes you just can't do that. And this is a really cool scene where they decide they're going to use electricity to burn him up because fire couldn't do it. And the way they did this is that, you know, as electricity burned him and got him smaller, they swapped him out with a little person actor. And here's a picture of the two of them standing together, which is really, really a neat idea. So, why is this movie better than the John Carpenter film? The Carpenter film is great. Don't get me wrong. I love it. The special effects, the creature itself was terrifying. Rob Bottin's makeup effects were amazing. My biggest beef with the Carpenter film is I don't give a shit about anybody. I don't like any of the characters. They're unlikable. They seem to be as if they were created by, you know, like an iconoclastic hippie, which in fact they were. That's why nobody seems to have a real purpose there. We don't know what they're really doing up there. We have one guy roller skating around, the cook. We have a dude rolling joints and smoking pot. When we first meet MacReady, he's playing chess on a computer and drinking whiskey all by himself. It's like these guys, yes, it's lonely up there in the North Pole, I'm sure. But they're supposed to have purpose. They're supposed to have a reason for being there. And that's not really conveyed very well. And their personalities are sort of unlikable. They don't really seem to, there's not any sense of camaraderie. And you contrast that with the Howard Hawks version. And Hawks was known for, he liked characters and men of action, men with purpose. And that comes very clear with Hendry and his crew. You know, there are our heroes, the military guys are our heroes. We've just gotten out of World War II and they saved the world, and they're going to save the world again here. What makes it really interesting too is the banter between his officers and Hendry. There's a kind of an honest ribbing of him, you know, as their commander. But when, you know, the wheels hit the asphalt, you know, they know who's in charge. They listen to him immediately, and they obey and go into action. And that's what I like. They're much more human and less types, which is what my biggest beef in the Carpenter film is, that each character is a type, but they don't have a lot of depth. Whereas, you know, the sequence with Hendry and Nikki, you know, the way they talk about how they first met in San Francisco, and then, you know, he had hands like an octopus, and he can't believe she drank him under the table. And this wonderful little banter that kind of gives us a little backstory about this guy and her, which was sort of a very adult sequence, particularly for 1951, that seemed very realistic. You know, I think that's what makes this film so timeless for me, is that even though it was made in 1951, I can relate to it. I can relate to these people, and that's you know, that's the mark of good characters. The movie is just it's one of my top 3 favorite movies of all time. It doesn't matter the genre. I can watch this movie anytime, any place, and I always seem to notice something different in it. You know, maybe so I'm looking at background characters, you know, because there's quite a few people at this base, and that's another thing that this has in common with the book. There's like 40 people on this base, whereas Carpenter's is only like 16 people, and it's 16 people you don't like. Whereas this one, we got 40 people we do like. And also, like the book, this ends positively. This ends definitely. We win. There's no ambiguity of, well, is MacReady a thing, or is um, what was the character's name? Was it Styles? No, I can't remember in the Carpenter film. But they leave that open, to interpretation as to if they did kill the thing or not. Whereas it's clear in the book, and it's clear in this film, that good triumphed over evil, and I like that too. So, let's see, what else can I say about this movie? I love so many great scenes in it, so many great bits of dialogue. Even you have to listen very carefully too, because sometimes the stuff said under the character's breath, and you're like, wait, what did he just say? Did he just say that? It's just fantastic, fantastic. Oh, wow, we got 84 comments already. Let's see what we got here. I'm sure I'll be bouncing off stuff here like usual. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Good morning, Shadowhawk. Good morning, Sklavko Era Prime. Good morning, Monster Fan. He's a big fan of Douglas Spencer. Scotty. Looking for a story, and boy, does he get one. Oh, yeah. The interplay between Scotty and Hendry is great, too. One of my favorite scenes in this film is when they're in the greenhouse and they open up the door and the thing is right there in your face, standing there. And it's so shocking. You're not expecting it. And he backhands it like that, and his claw gets caught in the door, and you see bits of wood from the door burst out. And then he withdraws his hand, they shut the door, and then Dewey Martin with his M1 carbine stands back and goes and starts shooting at the door. I love that scene. And then the scientists come in, and Hendry lays into Carrington for not telling him that they knew that the dog had been killed, and he kind of puts him under house arrest and tells him to leave. And the scientists are squawking about it. And Bob, the Dewey Martin character, walks up with his M1. And he's got it like this, and he just goes, "Better move along, Doctor." I love that. It's like, don't fuck with Bob. Okay, this is not Monster Fan's favorite. Oh, wait, we did that one. Oh, good morning, George. Good morning, Pop Culture Avenger. I really enjoyed your 31 Days of Monsters. I look forward to whatever you do next. Long live the Chenoo. Yes, long live the Chenoo. Thank you, Pop Culture Avenger, and thanks for tuning in every day. George is also excited about the Chenoo. Cool. I'm glad people are ginned up about it. We'll talk about that a little bit at the end, maybe. Well, George and I agree that the only gripe is the monster. To me, it's more sci-fi than a monster movie. Oh, clearly it's a sci-fi movie. No two ways about it. Fearless Freak, this is his favorite. And like me, he likes to rewatch it all the time. Good morning, Don. Hyper Kaiju, my favorite new movie from this month, Grabbers. My favorite rewatch of a movie I hadn't seen in a long time, The Wolfman. Well, I'm glad I could turn you on to a new movie. Grabbers is excellent. What? You didn't know anybody else who personally likes this movie? Holy cow. Rob quoting here. I've got an electric flying suit and a hot pot of coffee. Well, it was that electric blanket that Bob gave Barnes, Or no, Barnes replaced the guy that he gave the blanket to, and Barnes stuck it over the ice because he didn't want to look at the monster or the alien. Good morning, Dr. Mask. Hail 31 Days of Monsters. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Good morning, Chris Juliano. What an opening title scene. Absolutely. And let's not forget that Dmitry Tiomkin music. This is available on DVD, or CD rather, the Tiomkin soundtrack, and I recommend you get it. I listen to it all the time in the background of things. It even has the Winchester Pictures lead in too, which just it takes you back to the movie immediately. Winchester Pictures was the producing arm of Howard Hawks, and it was named Winchester Pictures because that's Howard Hawks' middle name, Howard Winchester Hawks. That's a manly name, isn't it, for a manly guy? Howard Winchester Hawks. I should change my name, Graham Winchester Nolan. Hawks and Carpenter gifted us the perfect Halloween creature double feature. Yeah, I might have to watch the other one today. Got some work to do. Klaatu Barada Nikto, referring to how to stop Gort from destroying the world in The Day the Earth Stood Still. Great movie. It is an awesome movie. Did anyone who watched it see the bulldozer in the second view in the flyover crash? Well, since you mentioned it the last in one of the previous casts, I was looking for it, and I did see something at the end of the or the beginning, I should say, of that of the crash site runway. I guess every time I watched it and I saw that, I thought it was maybe another extension of the spaceship coming up, like that Aerolon tail coming up in the ice, and that they take the filings off of. So I thought maybe it was just a big spaceship with part of that coming out. But when we see the circle scene, it was down here and you can't see anything. So I'm afraid you are correct. that must have been some piece of equipment they used to move the ice or the snow, because that was shot from an airplane. So yeah, that was the real area. This area here was a soundstage, and it was very hot when they shot this. But the aerial shot, because it almost looks like a matte painting line right back here towards the horizon line. This was probably a drop cloth or something like that with the paint on it. But when they shot the one from the C-47, you could see that was real snow. James Allen thinks The Man from Planet X isn't bad. That's a tough one. That's a tough slog. It was so cheap. The budget was so cheap. You hit everything in fog. I have to say, the man from Planet X himself was a scary-looking alien, really cool, with that weird face and that bubble on him, and the underlit helmet that he had was great. But that one's a tough one to watch. I have to be doing other things while that one's on, because otherwise I'll doze off. Rob says, electrocute the like button. Yes. Smash it. Smash that like button for my YouTube page. Everybody smoking cigarettes. Yeah, everybody smoked back then, that's for sure. Oh man, is that right? Sean Connery has passed? Oh. Oh, that's too bad. I'd have to do a Sean Connery show. All right. Toby had a very small role in Gremlins. Yeah, he was also in The Howling. He played one of the cops in The Howling. Well, look who's here. Hello, Pumpkin. You want to come up and say hello to everybody? Pumpkin's here. Come here, you. Come here. Come up. Oh, there she is. Oh, yes. Say hello, everybody. Okay. Okay. All right, Pumpkin. Okay. Everybody's favorite Pumpkin. This is her favorite movie, too. She watched it with us. Good morning, Jaime. I simply love this movie. The dialogue and the fear factor are just awesome. The best sci-fi horror film of the 50s, hands down. Great job, Graham. Next year, I'm going to expect you to do a Spanish version as well. Till next year. Well, good luck with that Spanish version. I can't speak Spanish, so that's a problem. Good morning, Hillary. Great movie. Indeed, indeed. Love the North Pole flyover scenes. You know, that's another thing that strikes me when I watch some of these old films, particularly these things that were made in the 50s, the post-World War II films. Any type of military conveyance that they need to use actually existed. It was easy enough for a film crew to get their hands on all that stuff because the technology hadn't changed all that much. There was so much left over from World War II. And there's something about, if you've ever been to an air show and you hear the engines on these planes and stuff, there's so much power and rumble. And when that C-47 takes off and lands on the ice, or you see them bank, that's the real deal. That is not a model that they would use, like particularly in films back in those days, or CGI, which they would use today to do a C-47. There's something about the reality of it that has weight, it has mass, and it has sound, and that to me, it's really conveyed in some of these old films. And I love that. It adds to it. It adds to the authenticity. Great lighting. You know, and that another bugaboo of mine is when stories take place in the snow, and you can tell clearly it's sand or it's whatever that they're using, the fake, snowflakes, the soap flakes or whatever it is that they're used. It doesn't have any kind of weight to it. Again, it doesn't crunch. It doesn't compact. And this movie, with the exception of a couple different scenes, unless you're looking closely, you really think they're in the snow, because in a lot of instances they were. It works really good. Again, it's all about immersion. And when I do my show about the storytellers, one of the three tenets that I push for visual storytelling is clarity. This is particular for comics, but clarity, dynamics, and immersion. And if you pull off the first two, you can get the third. And by immersion, I mean that when you're watching something or you're reading something, you're not taken out of the environment that is being presented to you. To me, that's the kiss of death. If you're reading a book or a comic or watching a film, and all of a sudden you're out of the story, you've lost your viewer or your reader. And to me, this film is very, very immersive. I feel like I'm at the North Pole. And I love that. Fearless Freak did not care for the ending of the Carpenter movie. Yeah, again, it's that ambiguity. It's a sign of the times when it was made, and the choices of the director that made it. I don't mind sometimes some ambiguity, but sometimes it's just too much. Sometimes you just gotta end it. Carrington talked about the fight against the monster, then turned around and wanted to talk to him. I don't know. I mean, Carrington seemed pretty anti-human, really. He seemed to feel like these aliens were the greatest things, since sliced bread, and that he wanted to learn from them, and they were better than us, and uh, just sort of a typical leftist view of the world. And then of course, Hendry is the voice of clarity, and he says, yeah, he's going to kill this thing, and they'll all sleep better. Why the change from the thing being immune to fire in this movie to being destroyed by fire in the Carpenter's version? Well, he was destroyed by fire in the book too. Why they decided to make the electricity uh, the the thing that did him in, I don't know. Maybe visually it worked better. I don't know. But it gives a great line to Scotty at the end when he poses the analogy of that that Noah saved the world with an ark of wood, and these meager forces saved the world with an arc of electricity. I love that. That is an awesome piece of dialogue. As with Tremors, the banter between the characters gets you to like them and therefore care what happens. Exactly. Unlikable, maybe, but also ill-defined. Are we talking about? We're talking about the Carpenter version, right? Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, is that we don't even know what they do up there until somebody says, "Oh, Copper's the doctor," or Blair's the doctor, whatever. Right? We don't really know what they do. In fact, we don't even know why they're up there, really. We know why the scientists are up in the North Pole in this one, and they're doing work. They're not just busy work, just shuffling papers and smoking dope. They're up there doing work. Again, that's Howard Hawks' Men of Action. Let's see. I think since it came from space and survives the cold fairly easily, that fire is an obvious choice for a weakness. Well, fire cleanses too. Cold preserves, fire cleanses. The dude that was also in They Live. Oh, Keith, I forget his name. Keith something. You guys are on the internet. You can check it out. Keith David. That's it. Thank you, George. And it was Childs. That was it. Yes. Thank you. Carpenter's version needed you to not care about the characters so he could breed the paranoia. I don't know if I buy that. You can still have paranoia and care for the characters. That way, when one of them loses, well, when you have that loss, it makes it that much more emotional. Coming in a bit late here, but the big question for me is whether Hawks directed some of it. Well, according to Ken Tobey, Hillary, he did. In fact, Ken Tobey says he directed most of it, and that Nyby was doing more second unit stuff. It seems to bear out when you look at the blueprint or the thumbprint that's on this movie everywhere. This clearly has that Hawks pace of dialogue. That rat-a-tat-tat speech pattern. But everybody has passed now. We can only go on previous interviews. But Ken Tobey said that yes, that Hawks directed him and directed most of this movie. The way I've always looked at the things characters are being cooped up together that long would make them not like each other. I know I'd be hateful as well. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know how long they've been up there. My favorite scene is Scotty's report at the end, giving credit to Carrington for being injured. Yeah, and Eddie Dykes says, "Good for you, Scotty." I like that. So it's like even the guys thought, maybe Carrington was a pain in the ass, but they liked how Scotty, didn't throw him under the bus. And that shows that loyalty that men have, the loyalty of men of action have toward each other. They fought this battle together at the top of the world, and they may not have liked the guy, but he was part of it. He was one of them, and they liked how Scotty did that, and I did too. Chris is going to watch Grabbers. Yo, it's as part of my movie marathon. Good. I'm turning people into Grabbers fans. Happy Halloween, Graham. Thank you for this month. Was something to look probably forward to in the mornings. Well, you're welcome. I'm glad I decided to do it this way than just posting the pictures like I've been doing for the last 8 years. Frakov Felger Carb says The Keep and Life Force are great films. I don't think I've seen The Keep, although I may have. Was that had something to do with like some kind of German supernatural thing or something? Life Force I've seen. That one is that's a Gonzo movie, Gonzo 80 movie. Rob Yance says, thank you for doing and adding some new movies to Halloween movies to my watching rotation. Good, good. George's favorite movie he discovered from watching the 31 Days of Monsters was The Uninvited. I'd never heard of that movie before. Thank you, Graham. Good. That is a great one. I love that movie. Shadowhawk's another Grabbers fan. Scott Clark's going to watch They Live and then Young Frankenstein. Well, there's a double feature. I haven't seen They Live in years. That one has such a great premise. Again, you're not knowing what people really are, and then putting on those glasses and be able to see them. I love that. Some of the execution is a little wonky, but caught the tail end of Guru, the Mad Monk early this morning. He had a vampire mistress. Very strange flick. Has anyone seen it? I saw that TCM was running that this morning, but it had already. I wasn't up early enough to catch it. So no, I have not seen it. Gomer says he's sitting in the ER with his wife. Had to make sure I didn't miss you 31st. Well, take care of her, Gomer. You can always watch this later. I hope everything works out for you guys. Thank you for this month, Graham. These episodes have been must-sees. Well, thank you, Dennis, for popping in here. I think I'm becoming my dad. I dozed off during It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, the other night. Dude, it's only 25 minutes long. You got to be able to stay up for that one. I'm just getting to the part where people were commenting on pumpkin popping into the stream. Pumpkin sighting. Hi, Jill. glad you got to see Pumpkin. This is becoming the Pumpkin feed. Look at all these. Hey, Pumpkin. Hey, Mike. How you doing? Glad you made it in today. I like your Strategic Air Command avatar. Otis Rose, thank you for the 31 Days of Monsters. Looking forward to your next storytelling stream. How is the Chenoo beer label design looking? It is done. The Chenoo beer label is done. Let me see if I can show it to you. I'm sure you guys would like to see it. Hold on a second here. Okay. There's actually going to be 2 different beer labels. That's the first one. It's an Imperial Stout with a 9% ABV. So this is going to have some kick to it. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be cherry and blackberry flavors in it. It's going to be heavy. And it's going to be a good winter brew. In fact, they started brewing the beer yesterday. Should be ready by the end of the month. So these are going to be, I can't sell the beer, but I can sell the actual cans, you know, empty cans. They'll be sealed, of course, you know, for can collectors and stuff. So I'm going to put those up on the Indiegogo site early next week. So you'll be able to, you know, get those if you're interested in them. All right. The actor that played Carrington, which is Robert Cornthwaite, was also in War of the Worlds. Was he? I don't remember him that. The ending to the film The Mist packed a gut punch beyond any ending. It really did. The irony, though, is that, you know, Stephen King's endings are always usually pretty down, pretty crappy. And in his book, The Mist, it actually ends. It's one of the few books of his that actually ends on an upbeat note. And then Frank Darabont completely turns it around at the end of the movie and turns it into, you know, what you're referring to. The immersion point is excellent, says Dennis. This is one of those films that I refuse to pause and return to after doing something else. I'm in this movie the whole time, even though bathroom breaks are needed more frequently in your 50s. Well, you shouldn't be drinking so much beer while watching it, Dennis. Look to the sky, keep watching the skies. Yeah, that's what a great ending line, right? Next year, you'll have to include the animated Mad Monster Party from '67 with Karloff and Phyllis Diller. Fantastic beer labels. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I've used some of the characters from Mad Monster Party in previous years when I was just doing the show, just doing it as 31 Days of Monster on Facebook. But yeah, that one will definitely get into the rotation. There's so many other movies, you know, this movie that I couldn't cover in 31 days, you know, so there'll be plenty to do next year. Otis says, very nice. I'll be getting those. Excellent. Will I sign the beer cans on Indiegogo? Yes. Yes, the cans will be signed. Great. Got to have a Chinook can or two. Good, good. Yeah, I think this is going to be fun. There's going to be um, like a tap party when the beer is ready, and we'll go to the. I'm hoping the books will be ready at the same time, and so that I can have the books and the beer at the same day at the brewery, and that should be a lot of fun. Robbie says, "Bring some to your next pilgrimage to Long Beach." Should tell your bars to order some. They'll ship it. It's still New York. They can ship it in New York. Yeah, get Nolan's. Get Nolan's and Shines in Long Beach to order it. Good morning, Eric. Happy Halloween. What is your favorite monster family around here? Addams Family or Munsters? I'm a Munster guy. A Herman Munster cracks me up. Man of War 665, neighbor of the beast, hate lurking and listening, but wanted to give a big thanks to you, Graham, as well as the contributions of the chat. Just wish I could have caught more live. Well, I'm glad you made it to this one. The big finale. Graham, am I going to the Malin versus Fraga showdown tonight? I don't know. I don't know what I got going on tonight yet. The Thing is one of my top 3 films of all time. Yep, same with me, Bo. Top 3. So many reasons. Top 1 being the Kenneth Tobey and the other heroes never show typical fear. They show confidence like true trained soldiers. If made today, I would be afraid they would make it a scream fest. The banter in this is so smart and delivered as well. Absolutely, Bo. I couldn't agree more. Cool Cotton wants to know if I'll do other live streams after this or more being a guest on other shows. Yes to both those things. I am going to do more live streams. I'm going to do a weekly one called The Storytellers, where I will deconstruct visual storytelling and have guests on, writers, artists, and cartoonists, as we go over various techniques, things that work and things that don't work in visual storytelling mediums. I think it'll be great for young writers and artists to tune in to get tips on, but I also think it'll be for people that like visual storytelling because it may give them a better appreciation and a more discerning eye for the things that they currently like or dislike. Hey, Graham, have you seen Wirehead on Indigo? Looks like a good horror comic. Yes. Yeah, I was on a show with the guy who did that. Yeah, it does look good. Was Alien in 31 Days of Monsters? It was not. I did not do Alien this year. I did the movie that inspired Alien, It, the Terror from Beyond Space. So Alien got mentioned in that, but maybe next year I'll do Alien or Aliens. Okay. Oh, Eric, this is just wrong. I thought you'd be an Uncle Fester guy because, you know. Now, I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. Bastard. Pop Culture Venture. Where is the tap party? It'll be at the brewery, 42 North Brewing in East Aurora, New York. East Aurora is a suburb of Buffalo in Western New York. So if you're in the area, that's the place to be. I'll let you know on the date as soon as we have that locked down. I'm trying to time it out with when I'll have the actual books back from the printer. I'm hoping to have the books in my hands by the 7th or so, December 7th, so that I can start fulfilling a week or so after that, because I still got to sign everything. So we're hoping. Okay, let me just scroll back up here, see if I've forgotten anybody. Scott says these streams were great to check out movies I've never heard before. Horror Express, for example. Yeah, it's fun to do the ones everybody knows and maybe offer some insight on them that they didn't know. But when you find those oddball ones that you discover that you haven't seen, that's really cool too. Like Horror Express. I mean, I hadn't seen that until last year or 2 years ago. Was the first time I'd ever seen it. It happened to be on Amazon Prime, and it was just a horrible print. But I was watching it and I was like, wow, this is a really, really great story. And so I just went ahead and ordered, because I saw that they had a Blu-ray out of it that was all cleaned up. So I ordered the Blu-ray and then rewatched it again, all cleaned up, and it's a really fun movie. Dr. Mask loves stouts. Stouts are great, particularly in the winter. Nice and heavy, stick to the bones. Dead Drop, happy Halloween. These shows have been great. Now on to the Shanu. Oh, another Horror Express fan. That's good. Oh, Gomer's referring to his wife in the hospital. She's doing okay, just sitting around waiting for her to get out. Leaving now. Thanks. Oh, good. That's good to hear. I will watch The Thing from Another World today again, rounding it out with Halloween or Trick or Treat. Trick or Treat's a good one. That's a good modern film. It'd be cool if Cecil and Ethan show up to the Tep party. I think they're both near New York. Well, Ethan's in New Jersey, and I'm in Western New York, so I am about 7 or 8 hours away. I think Cecil's in New York City, which is, again, about 7 or 8 hours away. So that'd be a long way to travel for a stout. But they'd be most welcome if they did. Thanks, Graham, for 31 days. Brightened up the month as only monsters can. I did enjoy Trick or Treat, done by the same guy that did the newest Godzilla, Michael Daughtry. Yeah. Yeah. He was good. Okay. Well, I think I've covered everybody here. Let's see here. Okay, so let's see. Here's another one. Next, you have to. Oh wait, I already did that one. Sorry. Okay. All right, so let's just go over and do a quick little promo here for the Shanu. Let's see if I can get rid of what it says. You may have to reread Joe Frankenstein today for Halloween. Oh, excellent. Yeah, Joe Frankenstein will be revisited at some point once I get some of these other projects out of the way. So we have some new folks in the room here. I don't know if you know about the Shanu. A few people have mentioned it in the comment section here, so I thought I'd put it up before we it is Halloween, so, and this is a great monster tale. So let's share this really cool Nick Grosh video that he did for this.
Good evening. Tonight's big story centers on the state of emergency declared this morning in Buffalo.
Between 4,000 and 5,000 cars said to be abandoned on city streets.
Buffalo is still very much a city under siege.
Space's wind whips the snow into 30-foot drifts.
Air Base, one of their
Low tonight, 10 below zero. Get off the streets and highways as soon as possible.
Well, it said 48 pages there, but it's actually 64 pages, 56 pages of story, and then some other content. All the backers get mentioned at the end, so that's going to take quite a few pages. As you can see, I've got 1,400 and almost 1,420 backers, and everybody's name's got to get mentioned, as I promised. All the perk levels have been or stretch goals have been met. So you know when you get, even if you just order the book, you're getting all kinds of goodies for it. I have a two-sided snow globe here that goes along with the two covers that are signed. There's a few of those that are still left if anybody is interested in that. So you know, you can just order the cover or the regular comic, or the regular comic with the variant cover, but they also come with all the stretch goals that have been hit. So let me scoot down to the stretch goals here, and I'll tell you. Well, if there's art collectors out there, I put this one back up. This is the first drawing. This is the concept drawing of the Chenoo. The very first drawing of the character. And I put this up there for the hardcore art collectors, because, you know, if this ever takes off as a film or something, it'd be really cool to have. Okay, all right, so here's what you're going to get. You get the bookmark when you order the comic. You're getting a trading card. You get a sticker. Everybody's name is in the book, all the supporters' name. You're getting the extra story content. So it was extra 8 pages, which will be sort of a prologue of the Blizzard of '77, because this story takes place today, in today's day and age. A digital copy. And this says foil stamp, but that was just the 90s me putting that in there, but it's not actually a foil stamp. It's going to be better than that. It's a spot varnish cover. So it'll be a card stock, and it's going to have sort of a velvet feel to it. And then there'll be spot varnish on it, on the blood splatter and on the logos, so that they'll really pop off the page. It's going to be awesome. So all of that you get with the books that you order. So it's really great. That's a really good deal. And, you know, I'll scroll back to some of the storytelling here. I'll give you a little backstory here. This gentleman here, that one of the levels we had was you could become a victim in the story, and so this gentleman bought 2 spots, one for himself and one for his father. So this is his death scene as he gets dragged off, and then this is his dad, who is in the series he's a plow driver. And he hits something, and he thinks it's an abandoned car. So he goes out to check, and he finds what looks like fur stuck on it. Then you see our boy, the Chenoo, back here, and whoa, and that's how he gets it. This is not a kid's book, obviously. I wouldn't pair it with a brewery either if it was a kid's book. This is definitely an adult rated R comic, just like a rated R movie. So, you know, there's some coarse language and you know, some gore like that. But it's also a great throwback to, you know, great monster movies, you know. So if you like comics and you like monster movies, you know, this is the comic of the year for you. It's almost done. The main story is done. I'm working on the stretch goal story. I'll be doing some of that today, as a matter of fact, because I want to get the files off and start to get paginated and everything, and then off to the printer so that I can start fulfilling, which means shipping to everybody, by mid-December. So if you're a backer, then you know that you get an update every Monday from me. If you're not a backer and you have backed or have been or are a bit nervous about backing projects because you don't think they'll be done, and I understand that because I've backed a lot of projects where I'm like, hey, where's my swag? You know, where's my goods? My backers know what's happening every Monday and where we are in the process, and so they're very confident that this project will be delivered into their hands. And I've been doing this for 37 years. I've never missed a deadline in those 37 years. And I won't be missing this one. You're going to get an awesome, awesome comic. You know, I'm as good as my word. So it's as simple as that. So if you were on the fence about it, you know, afraid that it won't get fulfilled, it will most certainly be fulfilled. And you'll know every step of the way where we're at. So this is really, really a major step in my career. You know, I'm just breaking away from corporate comics. I've played in that sandbox for 37 years, and I'm tired of it. I'm done with it. They no longer they're much too corporate. You know, the idea, you know, when I worked for DC Comics for many, many years, and I had exclusive contracts with them and term contracts with them, it was a much more inclusive business. You know, you felt you knew everybody, and they treated you like family. It was a much nicer place to work. And quite honestly, you didn't have a lot of choices. If you wanted to be considered a professional, you had to work for the big two, Marvel and DC, but they controlled all the rates. You know, and what other business does the client control the rate other than the fact that they'll either hire you or won't? You know, try telling a lawyer what you're going to pay them. Try telling your plumber what you're going to pay him, but they tell artists and writers what they're going to pay you. So, you know, I've done that, and I'm ready to move on. And I have never been happier in those 37 years than I've been working on this project, the Chenoo, and the projects coming up. The next one following the Chenoo is going to be called Alien Alamo, and it takes place in 1959. And it's a story of a World War II vet and his son on a Texas ranch. He's traumatized from what he'd seen in the war. He can't connect with his son. And these meteors land on their Texas ranch, and these alien creatures, these things come out. And it's up to them to save the world and restore their relationship together. And that's going to be, in that one, and future stories are all going to tie in to this whole universe that started with the Chenoo, without being direct sequels. So it's going to be a fun ride, and I hope you guys will consider coming on board and joining it. So I think that's about it. I didn't mean to turn the last one into a big commercial. It just seemed like there's a lot of mentioning of the Chenoo in the comments, so I figured, you know, maybe there's some folks here that hadn't heard about it and would like to know a little bit more about it. I will put I'll put the link into the the comment section for anybody that is interested. There. There we go. All right, gang. So that wraps up our 31 Days of Monsters. It's been a lot of fun. It's not the end of the streaming. I'm going to do some other stuff. Like I said, I'm going to do the Storytellers. That will probably be an evening show. But I'm still going to do some morning stuff. I'm kicking around, doing some Star Trek reviews and episodes from the original series. Maybe some talking about Western films, or perhaps, just not labeling as anything, just comment on pop culture things that I enjoy and hope you'll enjoy too. So thanks again for there's so many folks in here that have come every day to our 31 Days of Monster, and I really appreciate you coming into the chat room and contributing, and it's been a lot of fun interacting with everybody. So we're gonna just move on to some other things. It's not the end of the Monsters. Of course, we'll do our 31 next year as well, but and we might, because Monsters fall into pop culture, so we might hit on some other new stuff as we go along. So I hope you'll come along for that ride as well. So happy Halloween, everybody. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next broadcast. Keep looking to the stars. Bye-bye.